Now, this worked at this reboot company, right? Or whatever went on, you know what I mean? Anyway, so when she was like, working with the other employees that she had to work with or whatever in that company, they started calling her racial slurs and all this stuff or whatever, when not no reason whatsoever. Anyway, person I think it was supposed to be her boss for her to go to this the other side of the place or whatever. And the other person started calling her racist slurs and stuff like that. They was they was on the back or whatever when I dang. Now when her boss yelled at her or whatever when I he actually yelled at her, but he didn't swallow no spit. So a lot of spit got onto her face or whatever when I and she actually took him to court and she got awarded $3 million for that shit. And that's on bro. Anyway, this college kid, college dog called Judah got accused of a robbery that happened near his school or whatever, whatnot. Know what I'm saying? And they actually target him because the car his car was the same color as the car of the people who robbed people over there or whatever, whatnot. Know what I'm saying? But they was at the northeast, university or whatever whatnot. Now, Judah, actually was at South Carolina University. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't close to that area where those people got robbed at or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? For real though. So the LAPD did some messed up stuff and just go lock this boy up for no reason. For real. I mean that's some messed up stuff. And he got kicked out of school for that. You know what I'm saying? He actually got suspended. It's not kicked out. Suspended. Anyway, so I was like, this stuff don't make no sense. So they checked out the evidence or whatever when I saw that he didn't do it or nothing like that. So they let him out. Thank goodness they let him out. I don't know because those damn police officers on the pocket and that's on bro. Anyway, so now this cop actually shot this man that was high on Ritalin or whatever whatnot. He was walking through the hotel lobby, took off his shirt, he took off all his clothes and drove. He was driving all recklessly and stuff because he was high or whatsoever. The cop went over to him or whatever whatnot. He crashed his school or whatever whatnot, you know what I mean? Right after he hit some big cars when he was going through or whatever. And then he went up to the cop or whatever after he just almost got hit by a car or whatever whatnot. The cop took out the taser. He tasered him. But that shit didn't work. That's it. So the cop ended up shooting him 2 times or whatever whatnot. He ran off and collapsed on the ground or whatever. Now I'm saying this dude was a college graduate. But since he took that Ritalin, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. Because I tell you, real gang, I mean shit, if you would take a drug that you don't know about or know the effects of, that shit gonna get you messed up. And that's on bro. Anyway, so there's one cop end up going to this security guard or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And she was sitting outside her house, right? And she wasn't even driving, although her key was in that Nixon. You know what I mean? Real. Anyway, so he went up to a pool or whatsoever or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And he saw like, a lot of cans of White Claw up in a pool or whatever. And she was just sitting there. She wasn't driving or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? And like this cop just like, asked her to like, get out the car or whatever whatnot. Started trying to like, put handcuffs on her head, detain her or whatever whatnot. And like he was like, just like, actually saying some bullshit or whatever whatnot. You know what I mean? For real. Anyway, so yeah, she wanted that like female opposite. You know what I'm saying? She didn't want a dude to touch her like that. You know what I'm saying? Real. So dude was up there like, trying to touch all up on her pockets and stuff, and she started moving. She was like, no, you're not gonna touch me, no. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, he like, slammed her down on the ground or whatever, whatnot. Not saying got rough with her or whatever. Not saying, I mean, like, shit, what could she do? I mean, like, she had handcuffs on her or whatever. And doing applying pressure all up on her back and all that shit. She up there saying she can't breathe. And he's saying that you, like, sound alright when you out. For real though, I'm like, oh, hell no. That's crazy shit. For real though. Anyway, so she kept on saying, get her a female opposite. For real though. She was like, you ain't gonna keep on touching me. You ain't gonna touch me. You're not gonna keep on touching me. For real though. Had her down on the ground or whatsoever. And she kept on saying she can't breathe. For real though. I'm like, that's some crazy shit, gang. For real though. Anyway, he picked her up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And put her right up in the cruiser or whatever went on. You know what I'm saying? When the other police, like, end up, like, arriving on the scene or whatever went on. You know what I'm saying? He started lying. He started lying like a motherfucker. Real, because, like, he wanted to, like, make it, like, it seemed like that he was doing the right shit. Although, on the body cam, it showed that he was, like, on that bullshit. That's about it, you know what I'm saying? Real. Anyway, so yeah, he got a female officer out there. But yeah, she was still up in that like, squad car or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? She went to go talk to the lady or whatever. You know what I'm saying? About what went on. She told her about it or whatever went on, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, his ass got in trouble for that shit. Real. And she like, actually suing this motherfucker. And the case go take place like this year in September. Real. And I hope she win and that's on bro. Anyway, so this like, man like, was actually like, recording like, these like cop cars and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Because like, yeah, shit, they was like, actually like, using this place or whatever when so they could like, have a department over there, whatever when you know what I mean? And he was just actually just like, doing his thing. Just on the subway or whatever in public and all that. That's saying, this cop like, actually walked to him and he like, actually just tried to tell him some old bullshit or whatever when you know what I'm saying? Just like, actually saying he can't film there on private property, like what the fuck? Like, it's private property. You know what I'm saying? You have all the rights to like, record that shit. You know what I'm saying? Real though. I mean, like I said, like, there's some crazy shit. Real though. They even blocked him from going into the building or whatever whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Real though. And then they stopped blocking him or whatever. All these cops didn't know shit about the amendment rights. Oh my goodness, they were so goddamn stupid and so fucking dumb. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, gang, they got the dumbest motherfuckers, like, up there just doing their thing up in law enforcement. Oh my goodness, like, damn, I didn't know they was that damn stupid, you know what I'm saying? real though. Anyway, so yeah, they didn't like detain him or they didn't hurt him or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? For real though, everything was like, went smooth or whatever, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? For real though. Anyway, he was about to be on his way, but he said that before he go on his way, he wanted to like record the other side of the like, like room or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened, and that's on bro. Anyway, now this man was an electrician or whatever, whatnot, and he was working on his house. You know what I'm saying? And everything was going on smooth or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, so yeah, he was like he wanted to test out the like alarm or whatever to see if it works or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So he like set the alarm off and like open the window or whatever, whatnot. You know what I mean? Anyway, so after he did that, he put the code in or whatever to start the alarm. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, this cop like ended up showing up or whatever, whatnot, and he like just approached him or whatever, started talking to him and all this stuff. Next thing you know, I'm in his bed. He pushed him right into the house, just shoved him right in there or whatever. Why? Because he said he was cool. I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, this cop up there trying to like get his identification and all this shit, and he wouldn't even give it to him. Why? Because like you're not committing no crime or nothing like that. This man is illegally detained this man for no goddamn reason. Anyway, he was like, you're not the owner of this property, that's why I want to know your information and all that shit, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so, a lady came or whatever. She went in the house. She explained what the fuck was going on or whatever. Not saying they like hired the electrician to like, do the wiring and all that other shit or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And she said, the other owner of the house was outside or whatever. So he went outside, went to the court, talked to the other owner or whatever, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? He asked him for his ID and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? He gave him his ID. You know what I'm saying? Although he didn't have to, but he actually just did it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So he up there like having that conversation with the owner of the house or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And the owner of the house said the same thing. He said he called the electrician, told him to do some work at the house and all that shit, and everything was legit. You know what I'm saying? So the cop just went on his way, and that's all, bro. But anyway, the damn thing is, this man actually assaulted this man or whatever by putting his hands on him. He assaulted him by shoving him into the house. He assaulted him by shoving him all the way up in the living room. For real though, that's some crazy shit because they saying he did no wrongdoing. And that's fucked up, gang. And that's on bro. But yeah, it says like suit or whatever, whatnot. For real though. And shit, I hope he wins that shit. For real though. But anyway, like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hit the bell on the notifications so you see my next upload and my next post, and to make sure I make another one tomorrow. And oh yeah, you can check out my previous videos in your night game. So long, farewell, goodbye.